the business in its current state is sort of default dead. We had around $400,000 in the bank. We're burning around $350,000 a month. Math not in our favor. So there's sort of like there's like three things you can do. It's sort of in a situation like this. As I list, you can shut it down. You can sort of sell the company and give it to someone who can afford the losses for a long period of time, sort of a strategic acquisition, which is really just an acqui-hire. And then, and we had a bunch of those conversations with Square and Medium and even Patreon and Kickstarter. Or you can aim for sustainability, and that's the one that we ended up choosing, because I think that the fact that I had to make a choice, that I had to pick among these three options, was the problem. I was sort of forced to make this timely decision in a way that I just don't think is probably good for making decisions. And so I sort of decided to take control of our own destiny. And when we raised money, when we hired the team and built that out, I was always very clear that we were building this thing for this specific group of people that we called creators at the time, which now is like a sexy word. But before, people were like, what does that even mean? We were for creators, and then we were for the team, and then we were for investors. And hopefully there's alignment there, right? Like most of the time there is alignment. The team wants the same outcome as the VCs, want the same outcome as your customers. That's great and ideal, but sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's a misalignment, and when that misalignment happens, I'm going to go with the creators. And so we did this aggressive round of layoffs, and it worked. Turns out when you let 15 people go, you can get to profitability pretty fast. And it was actually like some people say, I was like 21, I think, maybe 22 at the time, laying off 15 people, like some of my best friends. This is like my entire like social network and my sort of like entire career experience. And it was honestly amazing, because it really just showed me like how much this thing that I built, that I this culture, this team, like was still in it for the creators. It was just, one, it was easy because I had sort of communicated, hey, this is going to be really hard if we don't hit these numbers in 9 months, which we didn't hit. It was sort of, the writing was on the wall. So it wasn't a surprise to anybody. And that's another quote that I love from one of my investors, is that if your employees are surprised, like, you should consider that a failure on your part, because you should have communicated. Like, if you fire someone and they're shocked by that decision, like, that's on you, not on them. And I remember after the layoffs, an employee came up to me and was like, that must have been so difficult. And I was like, I fired you, I wasn't really expecting like this sort of like empathy and sympathy, but it turns out that's what you get when you're honest and you're sort of hopefully building the company the right way. So anyways, these are the numbers. We went from burning $351,000 to a net profit of $10,000. And that $10,000, like if I could like scale the font size up on like my emotional reaction to it, it would be like the whole screen. You'd see like a little bit of like a zero or something, because like what that does is it took our runway from like finite to infinite. It gave me an unlimited time to make decisions on what I wanted to do Gumroad. And I didn't really appreciate when I was in that sort of the treadmill, as some folks call it, of trying to build this thing where you're basically playing double or nothing, right? You're raising a bunch of money, so in 18 months you can raise more money, so in 18 months you can raise more money, so in 18 months you can sell the company or you get profitable, and the numbers sort of like eventually work out. But you always feel like you're treading water. Like it's possible, certainly, but like the sort of the default state you're in is this is not working, which sort of contrasts with the idea that everyone thinks you're doing great because you just raised a bunch of money and you're 18 or whatever years old. I actually got a DM on Twitter yesterday that said something like, and maybe in the Q&A I'll read it. It said something like, I used to hate you. I didn't know, and then sort of in parentheses, like, I didn't know who you were, by the way. But I read this thing about you when you were a kid, and I hated you for the success you seemingly had. Thank you for sharing your story, etc. I don't hate you anymore. I was like, cool.